Greetings and welcome to Be My Guest. Today we have a special show on culture, technology and Sikhism. And my good guests are Sid,
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Harbaldeep,
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh Ji.
Navpreet Singh.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Welcome. Namaskar.
Thank you.
Harbaldeep Singh is a founder and mentor of Filmy and ActonTV, the non-profit initiatives he started at New England Sikh School, Circle Gurdwara at Westboro, Mass. The main aim of these initiatives is to impart formal filmmaking and TV production education to kids and to provide a platform to students who aspire, pine and want to reach the highest pinnacle in the domain of filmmaking and TV production. Herbal is a recipient of the 62nd Primetime Emmy Award for inventing a media technology used in Hollywood and film industries across the world, and successfully launched a popular TV show, What's Up TV. That's Harbaldeep.
Thank you.
And then we have Sid, and he is a 15-year-old Acton Boxborough High School sophomore and has been involved with filmmaking school run from Westboro, Massachusetts. That's your temple there, right?
Yeah, our Gurdwara.
And that's what it's called, right? The local Sikh place of worship. He's also a teaching assistant for Punjabi language and Sikh history at the same school. Welcome.
Thank you.
And then we have his dad, Navpreet Singh.
Hello.
Navpreet Singh is Siddakk's dad. He's an engineering leader, transforming IT software deliveries and engineering practices, as well as a full-time dad, a 20-year-old Massachusetts resident. Navpreet is very passionate about his long-time volunteer role teaching Sikh history to high schoolers on weekends at the same school in Westboro. So can you tell us about the filmmaking program you're part of and why did you feel a need for such a thing?
Thanks, Humsha, for inviting us to this great show. Thanks for the great introduction. Thanks for your kind words. You mentioned about my two biological kids, Tanya and Ekam. He's my son too. Every kid who's part of this film program is my son and daughter. I believe that's what I want to enable them, our future leaders, our future youth. So your question about this film program. So I've been professionally trained in filmmaking. I did my master's in fine arts for film TV production. And as a filmmaker, you need to pick stories which are very close to your heart. And these things doesn't come overnight. So I was going on this journey and realizing what makes me most passionate to tell these stories.
Right.
And then I thought, yeah, I'm born in a Sikh family. It makes me a Sikh. It's true for every religion. But I always feel connected to the Sikh philosophy. My role model is Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Nanak Sahib, as I call him. And the way back in 15th century, the things he did, the things he challenged, and the rich Sikh history, I thought there's a need to tell those stories. And we teach our kids those stories at Sunday Khalsa School. So Khalsa School is a Sunday school we do at our Gurdwara. And the kids are learning those great stories about Sikh history, Sikh culture, but there's no outlet for them to take those stories to the next level.
Right.
And these kids, as you know, every kid wants to be a YouTuber these days. So I thought there's a gap. If we can enable them with the filmmaking tools and we can teach them how to tell stories using a visual medium, they're going to bring their own stories. But we just need to teach them tools.
Right.
So that was the inception of Filmy Program at New England Sikh Studies Circle Gurdwara. And some of the other misconceptions which were around Sikhism or Sikhi, as we call, about there's not much representation of Sikh characters in films.
Right.
Take it Hollywood or take it Bollywood. They use Sikh characters only as a laughing stock or a sidekick, or they will come on screen and they will say wahu 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 like a bhangra. So they think we do bhangra even sleeping. So that's fine. They are doing what they want to do it, but it's our responsibility as a filmmaker to bring those stories out.
If I might add a couple of things actually, very quickly, right? One of the messages we want to give the filmmakers with this is you should have Sikh characters in the movies. You have a normal story. Sikhs are not just the soldiers. They're not just the clowns, right? Sikhs live their everyday life. There are doctors, there are engineers, there are scientists, there are small businessmen, there are Sikhs in every profession all around you. And when you're showing somebody doing something in a movie scene anywhere, that person could be a Sikh. And not only that, guess what? You can specifically write Sikh characters. And not only that, you can go one step further. Why don't you get Sikhs to play the Sikh characters? Today, the way you would see in most of the movies, somebody would, and Herbal mentioned this earlier too, somebody would stop shaving for a day or two, put on a turban like a hat, take it on and off at will, and essentially come to the scene and start bale bale. And this is not what Sikhs are all about. There is so much more. Sikhs are normal people. They can be normal characters. And if you have those characters, you can actually get Sikhs like that, right? Look at that guy. I mean, you can cast him in your character. As an example, you can cast him. He's already an actor, accomplished actor. There are so many other actors are outside that actually can be cast. Cast the real Sikh. Don't make a fake Sikh. Don't paste a fake beard on
Father
somebody
Christmas.
when you have somebody with
So
beard.
that's my inspiration. And our Gurdwara runs Khalsa School, and our leadership there agreed we need to start a program as a supplement to what they do at
Yes,
Khalsa
yes.
School. Let's to enable that. So this is how the inception of our Filmy Program started. These kids were my first set of students, guinea pigs, I will say. They did wonderful job. I learned more from them, what they learned from me. And I'm so proud with these folks, Navpreet and Siddakk, because their film is a success story. In the King's Court is a success story, which we're going to talk a lot about that. And I feel very proud sitting here with these two writers and directors of the film. They gave me an opportunity to be at this seat today. And we did 4 films. And all those films were based upon kids' thoughts. As a teacher, I never go and change their stories. I can help
Yes.
them to be creative, but end of the day, be realistic.
Yes.
We don't have $1 million to make a costume drama, and we'll talk more details about that. So we did 4 films, and in the King's Court, won a recent award at India International Film Festival of Boston. Seeing these kids on the red carpet, going on stage with their acceptance speech, getting those trophies, and literally I choked there. I couldn't talk, I couldn't say words because they made me so proud. So the film program is all about telling our stories, enable our future youth because they have the purest thought process.
The communication medium of today is videos,
Yes.
right? And how better to clear any misconceptions that may exist, any how better to get your message across to people than through that medium. And if all we keep teaching our kids as they're growing up are mediums that used to be great in 17th, 18th, 19th century, but not the 21st century medium, that's not going to spell success.
Very true.
So that's very important. It's an art. You don't just stand in front of the camera and things don't automatically happen. You have a
Right.
lot to learn. You know that very well, obviously.
Yes.
You run this beautiful channel. So that's where professionals like Herbal bring a lot to the community, and especially getting the kids to pick up on that. Another side of it is if you don't tell your story, somebody else will.
Oh, yes.
And when somebody else tells, they tell it their way. They
Oh,
don't tell
yes.
your story the way you see it. And it's very important that our kids, at least if not for our generation after us, our kids are comfortable with that medium, comfortable with storytelling, and our story gets out. Sid likes to say this, we want our story to get out.
Yep.
Yeah, like because filmmaking and videos, it's how people get their information now. You don't necessarily read the article, you watch the video about the article. So it's how we get our information out, and if we have to get our story out, then I think every kid should be educated and they should know how to work these mediums so they can get the right information and their story, they can get that out.
And yes, and I know your involvement was a big one in this one, right? You wrote it, and so you want to tell us a little bit more?
Yeah, I helped, along with the rest of the group, I helped write and direct it and like think of the story, and then I was also playing a main character in the film, the character who confronts the head of state in the Gurdwara. So.
And I just want to add, people may think, oh, Siddakk is here, his dad is here, what he's doing here. And the thing is, in our program, we had 15 kids, and starting from 8 years to 16, and everybody was writing. We had 4 groups. They wrote. That's why 4 films, 4 groups. So it's the story they wrote, and he was. I know Navpreet because we meet at Gurdwara, and I know his passion for filmmaking and telling stories. They picked a very difficult story. Now I decided, let them do it on their own, but I thought there is a very good potential to tell story, because this story has some very powerful individuals in that movie. So I thought we need some adult supervision. So he came in on board as a writer, co-writer, and a co-director too, because this movie was shot on a scale. We needed like 100 people, the crowd scenes.
Oh.
So that's how Navpreet become part of this thing. So I just wanted to make sure, let me clear it, because his son is there, he got involved. No, I picked him to be part of this film because he was needed. He was the only adult who signed up for this program, though I asked any adult can join and become part of this film school. He joined, and it happened. They picked this like a most complex story to do it, and I'll let Navpreet talk about his experience.
Yeah, and I think that experience, honestly, if you think about, Harbal and I are the same age. Every other student in that group was a kid, right?
Right.
And
a child.
Exactly. And for me, I think it was very, it was a no-brainer to think that there's somebody who knows so much about films, definitely knows more than I do, which was next to nothing. And I attended every class. I attended every class as a student, and I keep telling Harbal, I'm not the adult in the room. I am just another student.
Age is a factor. It's just a... And the thing is, well, first thing, he said we are same age. I don't think so. I am Siddakk's age. These kids are keeping me young. I want to compete with them because they teach me about Snapchat.
Yes.
They talk me about their lingo. I talk in emojis.
Oh,
so I'm his age.
Yeah, we actually were.
And we have Instagram.
Oh, I am in big time on Instagram actually.
Flavorful Eats is too.
Hey, at Harbal, go follow me. Subscribe me.
You know, this is the interesting thing. When we got nominated, I was I was talking about, I don't know what I'm more happy about, being nominated for as a filmmaker or the young filmmaker or the best young filmmaker category where we got nominated.
Best of both the worlds actually.
But I guess
Best of
person's
all
owned by the
worlds.
company he keeps. So the company that we keep with the kids, definitely.
And now, you know, coming to the little dress, a 15-year-old you use this every day to school, I think.
My turban?
Yes.
No, not yet. I usually wear this on special occasions.
Okay.
To school, I wear, so this is called a Baggi. And to school, I usually wear what's called a patka, which is a bit, it's a different type of turban, a different type of covering. So that's usually what I wear to school. Yeah, but like my dad wears Baggi to work every day or wherever we're going. So
you're in a good community that nobody picks on you and that, because this is one of the biggest things that everybody, especially after 9/11.
Yeah. So for me, there's a lot of factors why I don't wear a Baggi yet. One simple factor is that it takes a little more time. And I'm someone who, you know, I'm barely catching the bus. So
good things take time, by the way.
But it's also that, sure, there's, this is a very welcoming community, but there's also of course I am a little scared that, okay, like I'm changing this about myself. When you already stand out, then I wear a Baggi and I stand out even more. So yeah, it's a little scary, but I think I'll wear it when I think it's right for me to do so.
You know, always be true to yourself.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
You know, a lot of people mistake Sikhs as Middle Eastern or Muslim, and of course that's not true. However, you know, as a community, we decided right after 9/11 that yes, there is a lot of hate coming our way, and yes, a lot of that hate is misguided from a lot of angles, but it's also mistaken identity.
Yes.
But we are never going to get up and say, don't hate me because I'm not a Muslim.
That's right.
That essentially okays that it's okay to hate somebody else because they are Muslim, hate them, not me.
Yep.
You can't, I mean, Muslims, not all of them are in that category.
It does not matter, right? No broad general stereotypes should be applied to anybody. And so as a community for Sikhs, we took the longer, tougher path of essentially standing up and saying, don't hate anybody, don't do broad general stereotyping. By the way, we're not Muslims, but you should not be hating anybody.
That is true.
Right? You should not be directing this kind of a thing to anybody. Now, this has actually been fatal as well, right? There have been quite a few fatalities in this country. The first fatality, right after 9/11, was actually a Sikh getting shot in Mesa, Arizona.
Very nice.
And you know, there's multiple such incidents that have happened against Sikhs. Some of them have been lethal, some of them not so. You know, recently, if you're aware, in Houston,
Texas.
you know, a deputy sheriff got shot. No hate crime has been found in that, but you know, what are the chances if the guy was not wearing a turban? It's an interesting question, right? Whether it would have been that bad with that person who did it. But there are other situations across the country throughout this time that this has been happening, and we are very conscious in that that as a Sikh community, our message goes out: love everybody, everyone is equal. Not that don't hate us, hate somebody else.
Yeah, I think one important thing that happened, going off of that, is that instead of just saying we're not this, create more awareness about who Sikhs are and their values and everything. That was really important, and that's something we're doing through this filmmaking medium. And you know, there have been some fatalities. 2012, Oak Creek, Wisconsin, there was a Gurdwara that someone came in and there was a hate crime. He killed a lot of people. There's actually a movie inspired by that's in the process right now.
Okay.
But it's just important to not only make ourselves distinct, but also inform people about who Sikhs are. Because sometimes I've had teachers come up to me and say, I know enough to recognize a Sikh. I don't know anything about Sikhs though. So that's something we need to improve on and get our values and our information out.
And as a teacher, let me just add few things to what they just said. So in Sikhism, so there are 5 symbols of Sikhism called 5 Ks or Panch Kakars. So it's a case. Sikhs are supposed to keep their hair. There's a little comb to make sure your hair, if you're keeping it, and you can comb it.
Oh, it's a comb that you have that is, oh, okay.
So it's the 5 Ks. In Punjabi, Ks, Kanga, Kachara for chastity. There is a Kada, and then there is a Kirpan. There's a small dagger. Now it's a small, but the dagger is for defense. It's not you just go and start reusing it. So having those 5 symbols, why Pug is very important for me, why I tell, as a teacher, what I tell them about Pug or a turban is, that the symbol of turban is, back at the time of Sikh gurus, the turban was supposed to be worn by kings The people, because there was a casteism,
Right.
so the people who said, okay, now we are at the top level, so this is a club, at the highest club will wear turban, nobody else is allowed.
So
And
it's
Sikh Guru
crown.
said, we will rebel against that. Start wearing turban. That's how turban came. So turban makes you stand out. It's a symbol of equalizer. So everybody can be whatever you are, making your own clubs and say, oh, this is a blue-eyed club. To be part of this club, you need to wear this thing. So they equalize that. And we will talk about concept of langar. Everybody need to sit together on a floor to eat. There's no special, hey, this is a VVIP, this is VIP, this is general audience. Everybody has to sit. So these are the few things as a teacher. And I said, I was born in a Sikh family, doesn't make me a Sikh. I started believing these philosophies is equality. All humans are same. And if anybody thinks he's superior, we need to fight against that. So that's what a Sikhism is all about fighting for the rights of everyone, not just for yourself.
Yeah, so that's an interesting part that I'd get into. Like, how do you identify a Sikh is different from who is a Sikh. What do Sikhs believe in?
Good point.
Right? So it's kind of like the symbols that you would see when you see a Sikh. One of the first things you will see will be turban and hair and all of that. We'll talk about that. Herbal did already, but keep in mind those are symbols. That doesn't define us, right? What defines us is our very distinct ideology, our very distinct line of thinking that comes from a very different thinker from 15th century, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. He started this religion for us, this line of thinking for us. We believe in one God, right? And we pray to nobody but one God, right? That's one of the distinguishing things about Sikhs. Another thing about Sikhs is, in 15th century, there was somebody who was talking about everyone being equal, and not just in the sense of as a cliche. When you say everyone being equal in a society, so in today's society, if you look at in United States, or in recent society that people can relate to, segregation is understood between races. However, the segregation here has been relatively soft, even historically has been relatively soft. If you look at the caste system ridden society of 15th century, the segregation was at a whole another level. If me and Herbal are sitting at the same level and Herbal happens to be a higher caste than I am, and I am a lower caste, it was punishable by death. My butt could be imprinted to say that I dared sit with somebody who was higher caste than me. It was that segregated.
Right.
Sitting together was not allowed. There was a law. In that environment, if somebody is coming in and saying, I don't care what your last name is, I don't care what family you were born in, I don't care what your religion is, I don't care what your gender is, you are all equal. In that society, if you look at what his contemporaries were writing, they were specifically, explicitly writing and documenting that, higher castes are better. They were also documenting that women even of higher caste are equivalent to lower caste, as an example, or not worthy of the same respect, or women will not attain salvation, as an example, or these sorts of things were being written at that time by the contemporary authors. Today's thought has evolved. Even then, we are struggling in our society with equal pay. We're struggling with equal status. We're struggling between genders, let alone between races, between rich and poor, and between other inequalities. And that time somebody is coming in and saying, everyone is equal. Everyone, not just saying it, practicing it, preaching it, showing it, starting a line of thought.
Living it.
Not just living it, institutionalizing it, right? And starting a line of thought which is still continuing, that if you truly follow that line of thought, you would understand that you every day we in our gurudwaras, we don't stand every day and say, God or Waheguru, please keep the Sikhs well. What we stand up and say is, there's a concept called Sarbat da Pala. What that translates to is, Sarbat is universal. Everybody and Pala is good. So we ask for everybody's good. We don't necessarily say only those guys who are in this Gurdwara or those guys who are Sikhs, only do their good, for the rest you deal with them yourself, we don't care. That's not what we do. And that comes from that line of thought. And so it's a very revolutionary line of thought, very distinct line of thought, very monotheistic line of thought, where the idea was, you don't pray to idols, you don't pray to people, you don't pray to dead people, you don't pray to living people, you don't pray to anybody. The only one thing that you're going to pray to is the ultimate thing where all of this started, whoever, whatever that is, and there's a whole lot of explanation in it.
And let me bring this discussion to our film program too, because I believe in Walk the Talk. So it's great, whatever we just talked about that. So this is what kids picked. And so kids did 4 films. In the King's Court was one of the film. So our youngest kids, they picked a story to tell on Guru Nanak Dev Ji's 3 golden rules. So we talked about Guru Nanak Dev Ji. So he has like a 3 golden rules, which applies not only to Sikhs, I think to everyone. He said, Kirat Kar. Kirat Kar means work hard. Then he said, second rule, Naam Jap. Pray to the God. Working hard, pray to the God. And then third one, Wand Chak, which means share. So our youngest kids, they wrote a story on that. So they just took this thing and they made a contemporary story on that called 3 Golden Rules, and I'll share with you a trailer and a movie of that. Second set of kids did a movie called Supercar and Super Singh. And the way they did film is, it's a superhero movie because the kids are excited about superheroes. So they said, your superpowers come to you if you wear those 5 Ks I just mentioned. So that's the movie about that. And the fourth movie, which he just mentioned about gender equality and the pay equality, they did a movie called From Woman, Man is Born. And this was beautifully written movie, very abstract, no dialogues. They showed in this movie, through symbolism, girls are as capable as boys. They can play football, they can play basketball, they learn piano, they're good in music, they're good in studies. Then both boy and girl growing up together, they start working together at a job, and the payday comes and the boy is given a full check and the girl is given a half check. Beautiful story about a gender equality, which Guru Nanak Dev Ji 550 years ago talk about that. So there's a Shabad in the movie, they talk about that, which is Pand Jammiye, Pand Nimiye. Pand, Mangan, De. So you need to help me about that. So basically you can talk about that. So
sure.
Soke Manda Akhiye, Jin Jame Rajan. Why do we call her bad, who has given birth to emperors basically? So
yeah, that happens to be my favorite movie from that session. The interesting thing about our religion, because it's not from that long ago, everything is documented from our gurus directly. So it wasn't that hundreds of years after they had gone, somebody tried to document it, and in the process something got diluted. We have everything documented directly from the gurus, and one of the things that is documented is this Shabad, where amongst other places where a woman is actually glorified. That why are you discriminating against a woman who is the one who gave birth to the best amongst you, right? And which is exactly, it's very right on.
Do you have a book like, the Christians have the Bible? What sort of book do you all?
Yeah, we do. It's called the Guru Granth Sahib, but we don't consider it a book. If you notice, there's Guru in front of it. We consider that our 11th Guru. Basically, all of the teachings of the previous 10 Gurus, and not only them, but other, saintly figures from other religions, whose writings may have conveyed Sikh values are in there. So it's a really unique, wonderful compilation of those values, and they're in that book, and that's our guru, because the point of the guru was to teach us, to give us our values.
Impact
So
knowledge,
that guru now gives, like, when we read it, it gives us our teachings.
And
our values.
there's a few things which connect to you at a human level too. So there were 10 Sikh gurus, and the 10th guru have very easily said, okay. And by the way, his all 4 sons were killed in a battle with the Mughals at that time, and he always say, "Char muए to kya hua, jeevat kai hazar." I have only 4 sons who died. Everybody's my son. That was the guru, and he could have picked human to be the 11th guru. He said this book, because it's a sar, it's a summary of the vichar of our gurus. Not all 10 gurus, and they not only picked words from Sikhs, from Muslims, from Hindus, from Kabir, from Sufi saint. What are the Sufi saints?
Farid.
Baba Farid. So that book becomes our Guru Granth Sahib.
And it's not necessarily the book that is.
It's not a book,
guru.
actually. I should correct myself.
It's the teachings inside the
Knowledge.
book that is what we.
So we set it up as in the Gurudwara. Our Gurudwara is a setup as it is Guru's court. Like Guru is the king. We refer to Guru as the Sacha Pacha, which means the true king. And the movie In the King's Court essentially is, if you think about, in the true King's Court, in the eyes of God, everyone is equal. So there cannot be a bigger power than the Guru, than the God who visits the Guru's court and gets some special treatment. And that's where we show there is a 16th century story about Emperor Akbar visiting the third Guru, and Guru essentially asked him to go have a langar with common people.
Langar is a community kitchen.
Community kitchen, sit down on the floor with lower caste, upper caste, every caste, rich, poor, everybody, Hindu, Muslim, all of them are sitting at the same level and eating the same food. No special foods cooked for the emperor or the special guest. So go sit down with everybody, eat that, essentially check your ego in, and then come and meet. And that's where, if you think about, in the King's Court, we're showing the contemporary story of that. So who is the emperor equivalent of today's world? Who would be visiting that court, and who would want to go there with his own rules? Now, if that is happening out of innocent ignorance, or is it willful arrogance? What happens when it gets corrected? How does he react to that? Does he even get corrected? Does anybody have the courage to take it up? That's what the movie is about.
Well, I think that's a good place to end. We can carry on talking the whole day going by. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks for this
Thanks for
invitation,
having us.
and
Yes, and
Thank you, Humsha. This is amazing.
this is amazing.
We appreciate the opportunity.
And
Thank
last
you.
request to your audience: go watch this movie, and you're going to ask us where we can find that movie very soon. We will share some
link.
information with Humsha, so you guys can watch that movie.
So if you like this program, please click subscribe on your YouTube channel.
Okay.
Questions and comments, write to flavorfuleats@gmail.com. That's me again. And always found 24/7 on ActonTV.org. Till we meet again, I'm your host, Humsha Naidoo. Thank you. Namaste. Namaskaram.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Baggi ki Fateh.